All right, before we begin, let's say a big thank you. Inspect All Pest Services, inspectallservices.com, providing the highest quality termite pest and wildlife control, the highest quality. Plus, they take care of your insulation, pressure washing, gutter maintenance, and other home services in the metro Atlanta and surrounding areas. The Mad Dog, Manny Aurora. By the way, any legal questions, go to thebaileyshow.com, get him in for his next visit on the BS. TheAuroraLawFirm.com, based out of Georgia but can litigate all over the United States. Criminal defense, white-collar crime, DUI, drug offenses, appeals, and more. The Dr. David Markwell at Ridgeline Counseling. He's got 10 therapists in-house there, 3 different locations in Georgia, one across from Sprayberry High School in Sandy Plains in East Cobb, Marietta near the Square, and McKaysville outside of Blue Ridge, but can do virtual sessions anywhere in this fine country of ours. Schedule an appointment directly via email, ridgelinecounseling@gmail.com. All right, let's begin.
Go ahead and leave a comment about how you deal with your children leaving home while I recover.
Honey, I raised the kids.
Our kids leaving the nest is never easy. So in order to cope, Jason and Rachel have decided to share the journey of their kids, Caleb and Ariel, or Bees as most know her. Follow the story in this podcast.
Honey, I raised the kids.
All right, there it is, episode 11 of the Honey, I Raised the Kids podcast. Thanks for being here. My name's Jason Bailey. There's my wife, Rachel.
Hey, y'all.
We are RaeJae.
RaeJae.
That's who we are. Make sure you visit thebaileyshow.com when you get a chance. Subscribe to the other podcasts that we have on the network, The BS, with me and the iron-fisted one himself, Chuck Lunsford, and the B-Man, Brandon Thrasher. Good times for an entire week of great content, including this podcast that Rach and I do, where we talk about becoming empty nesters. And as every day approaches and we get closer to really the day that our daughter, Ariel, gets out of the house, which will be in August.
Yeah, real soon.
We're experiencing what it's like more and more every day.
It's real weird. I don't think we have to learn to get used to it, but it's odd.
It's so
it's just weird.
It's so odd, and like every week, there's something new, and maybe it's because we do this podcast. I have no idea, but it's like every week there's something new that's happening, and I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to cope, and I'm trying to deal with it. And for example, like my birthday was this past week.
Yep.
And neither one of the kids were here.
No, we didn't have any children.
None. Zero.
With 0 children.
Got a late text in the afternoon from both of them. You know,
probably when they woke up.
Which was like my birthday was an afterthought.
I don't know. I think it was probably the thought when they got up. They just didn't get up until way late.
I think Caleb celebrated my birthday more when I lived farther away.
You think so?
Like, I'm not understanding that we now live so close.
Right here.
And to not find the time. And it's just something that we have to come to grasp with.
Yeah.
Is that it doesn't matter what the proximity is.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit.
They're just in their own little world.
They're in their own little world.
Well, and he's learning what it is to work. Like, he has to work to pay his bills because he's got bills.
Yeah.
So he's got to go to work. And, I mean, what do you do?
And
Make the decision to go to work.
And then Ariel, she went up to Georgia to visit her friends, and she goes to Tennessee to go to
Megan Maroney,
a country concert. She gets in a minor fender bender.
Yeah, that was a little intense.
Yeah.
That was her first one.
I know.
She was a little scared.
You always remember your first fender bender.
Yeah.
And
She reacted well.
And now we have to figure out if these people are going to automatically just out of the blue say that their back hurts or, or their head hurts or something. So.
I don't know if they're going to go in that direction. I mean, police officer didn't seem to think it was a thing.
That's why nobody believes me. I said, use the dash cam. The dash cam has all the footage, and nobody can dispute the footage. But she did not have her dash cam on or even up.
I have a dash cam in my car, and it makes you push a button every time you get in the car.
We need
I don't really know it does.
We need new dash cams.
Yeah, I don't think it does what it's supposed to do.
We need new dash cams.
But it's there.
It's there.
It's not doing anything, but it's there.
If anything, you can go, well, look, let the video do the talking when it wasn't even working.
Yeah.
And you can just lie to the people. So this episode, you know, we had an interesting kind of experience, observation, which brought up a question and then a conversation. A friend of mine was in town, and we met up with him at a local hotel, the Hotel Landy, which was not here when we lived here.
No, it's new.
It was brand new by Universal Studios. A very beautiful hotel.
Nice and clean.
And, you know, we're in the lobby and we're having drinks. And there's a couple different, you know, observations here under the same umbrella of what kind of grandparents will we be. Now, I know we've kind of had this conversation before based off of a listener question of what do we want to be called?
Yeah, Meg wanted to know what we wanted to be called.
Right. And Caleb now being engaged, which, you know, one can only assume, God help us if he knocks his fiance up and blah, blah,
I think
blah.
we're going to wait some time on that one.
We are going to wait some time, but he might not wait some time.
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I'm putting out into the air.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you.
No baby air.
I can tell you what he's probably putting out in the air.
No. Weed.
Yeah. That and anything else. So we're at this hotel, and we're staying right now. I mean, it's tourist central.
Oh, we're smack in the center of freaking Mickey Mouse and Universal Harry Potter world.
Yeah, SeaWorld, Gatorland, Volcano Bay. I drive, you know, we're
everywhere.
Like smack
3 minutes.
So we're, you know, you have the tourists, and you know the tourists. You just tell. Mm-hmm. And it was a cool little scene to watch. It was Grandpa and Grandma, and I think probably her daughter.
Yep.
She was an adult.
Yeah, she was an adult.
Probably around our age.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this young child.
She had to have been maybe 7.
7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah, 7 or 8.
Having the time of her life with Grandma.
Mm-hmm. And she was having the best time. She was so cute.
You know, and there was a guy that was singing in the lobby, and the girl's dancing around, and she's having fun, and Grandma gets up, and Grandma's dancing around.
Grandma was cutting a rug.
Grandma was off the chain.
She was getting it.
So Rach and I are looking, and we're going, I hope we're that grandparent.
Yeah, I want to be her.
Right. We want to be that grandparent. Yeah. So, you know, it's kind of contradicts what we were just saying with Caleb.
Not yet.
Right? Like, we've got to take advantage of the now.
Yeah.
So
we're old enough to dance now.
If we're old, like, if you want me to embarrass myself, I just turned 49. Let me do it at 49, because at 59, I don't know if I'm going to have the joints to do it.
You will have an opportunity going to a sorority parent night with your daughter. Don't you worry.
Yeah, but
Frank the Tank.
I understand that, but being the grandparent,
it's a whole different world.
So the conversation that we were having was traditionally the idea of a grandparent. You know, my grandmother, as many of you that know me by listening to me on the radio for many years or the podcast, you know that my grandmother was my rock. She was my everything. Mm-hmm. But my grandmother was the stereotypical grandmother.
Right.
It did not want to try anything new. I mean, she was born in like the early 1900s. You know, she never got a driver's license. I think she finished maybe 6th or 7th grade, and that was the last class. She got married at a very young age, lived on a farm. She had a job, which was at Montgomery Wards. And
I think it's Montgomery Ward, but we always say Montgomery Wards.
Mandela effect. I don't know. So, you know, and that, you know, that's what she did. That was her life. And then as she got older, you know, she, you know, lost her husband, my grandfather, who I never met, I don't think, and lived very frugally, that's even a word, off of barely nothing that the government gave her.
She was happy in her little world.
She was happy. I'm sure she'd want more and want better, but that was Graham. And she had the white hair. She had the big glasses, the bottle glasses.
Her pocketbook.
Her pocketbook, which I always tell the story of my grandmother's pocketbook, or as we called it, her pocketbook, was the equivalent of Thor's hammer. Only Thor can pick up his hammer. Only Graham at 70, 80, almost 90 years old could lift her pocketbook.
You know why it was that heavy? Her golden scissors.
Golden scissors. Hence the Golden Scissors Studio, for those not in the know. You know, and this thing was magical. In her pocketbook, we would go to Ponderosa for lunch, and she would take the biscuits. You know, they were still warm. She'd wrap them like she was wrapping the perfect Christmas prize, perfect Christmas gift in a napkin. And she would fold it and she would put it down in that pocketbook with a million other things. It was like a clown car. You could just take one thing after another. A week later, I'd be hungry. I need a snack. Graham, you have anything to eat? She'd go deep down in that pocketbook and she'd pull out that biscuit from Ponderosa. And you know what?
Oh.
That damn biscuit's still warm.
Graham for the pocketbook win.
Yes.
Wow.
Still warm.
That's impressive.
It was a magic trick.
Yeah.
She had every saltine cracker for any place that had saltine crackers.
Oh, I'm for the saltine cracker pocketbook situation.
But
I'm in on that one.
But that was my traditional grandmother.
Yeah.
Graham wasn't getting up and dancing.
No.
Graham, I remember going over to Graham's house and putting my Quiet Riot mental health cassette into her, taking out Bing Crosby, mind you.
Oh, no.
And putting my cassette into her, tower stereo and, come on, feel the noise.
Oh, Graham had a heart attack.
And she looks at, the cover with the hockey mask and the cum spelled not the way that.
Yeah.
Jace!
Don't
put
that on.
It's the devil's music. But times have changed.
They have.
Times have changed. Your grandmothers were traditional like my grandmother.
They were traditional. I remember my mom's mom, she passed away when I think I was about 10. So my mom, they lived in Jersey, and we would go for a week or two at a time. And I think it was because my parents wanted to get rid of us for a week or two at a time. And then her rules were, I don't remember seeing my grandfather a whole lot. He probably was still in the Navy at that time, but I was young. I don't remember. And then her rules were, we're outside, go out, don't come back in. I'll put the Kool-Aid on the back step, and don't open and close the doors. Don't do any of those things. When you come in, you eat dinner, you wash your hands, get in the shower, go to bed. If you would like to stay up late at my mom's house, everyone is allowed to take their sleeping bag into the living room. And the only rule is you have to watch what she's watching. And her favorite were horror movies. And once you're in, you're not allowed to get up. So that is how I have been traumatized by killer clowns from outer space. Not allowed to get up. It doesn't matter. You can't put the blankets over your head. You have to watch. If you're up, you're watching.
Those old school rules.
Yeah.
You're
not getting up. No snacks.
So
hang out.
So our grandparents were traditional. That's the picture book of a grandmother definition. You look it up. That's what we think. Now I'm a Gen Xer. You're a Gen Y. And as the younger generations, are growing up like our kids, and we will soon become great. We have friends that are grandparents.
We do.
And I see them with their grandkids, and they're doing, and when I say non-traditional things, understand what I'm saying. I'm comparing it to the grandparents of a Gen Xer, which were the parents of boomers.
Right.
So born in the early 1900s.
Graham.
Yeah, like Graham. Not in the 70s or 80s like us.
Mm-hmm.
This is...
We're the partiers.
This is like 60, 70 years, difference, right?
It's a huge difference.
So times have changed greatly, drastically. And it's almost impossible for our generation to be that traditional grandparent. Impossible.
Yeah, because it's not fun.
No. And social,
I want to dance.
I want to dance. And social media doesn't help it either. Just think about this, okay? Again, comparing, let's say you listening your grandparent, and if they're still alive, bless your heart, that's awesome. They're the best thing God could ever give us as a grandparent. And let's just say your grandparent is that traditional grandparent. Now, can you imagine if they were part of a social media generation and everything? Because I guarantee your grandparent, just like ours, didn't tell us the truth about when they were younger. I don't care what generation, what decade it is. People are people. Humans are humans. There's a freak in everybody. So grandparents in the 1930s were still doing freaky things like grandparents in the 2024s.
Yeah, I think they were just doing harder drugs.
Maybe.
Probably.
But we don't know those things.
We don't know because they don't talk about it.
Nor will they ever.
No.
Because
it's like unheard of.
Right. It's that rule. Once you reach a certain age, then you have to flip a switch and become like this adult. And, you have to set a good example, but us as parents, especially somebody like me that's been an open book for 3 decades, via radio or podcast.
Yeah, I've got some fun videos of you.
I mean, our kids know everything there is to know about us.
They do. They know that we are not traditional parents or probably going to be traditional grandparents.
Non-traditional grandparents.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no way.
They know.
It's impossible.
Nope.
So what kind of grandparents will our generation be? Like versus the traditional grandparents, what's going to be the biggest difference?
TikTok and Granny.
Social media grandparents.
Yep.
I mean,
Granny's a beast on the dance floor.
Like the one that we saw.
She was so awesome.
Yeah.
I loved her. Like
Yeah.
I watched her, and that little girl, as soon as that woman gets up and she knows all the words, she knows the dance, everything. As soon as she gets up and starts singing and dancing, that little girl's face just lit up. And she's like, oh, it's go time.
Yeah.
And starts twirling around with grandma.
Mm-hmm.
Best day ever.
Now, will we as grandparents, when that day comes, we've already established that we're not going to be that traditional white-haired grandparent.
Right.
Are we going to be open and honest with our grandkids about everything?
I mean, I have videos of you taking some gummies and doing some things, fun things. I mean, we can give them video proof and be like, probably don't do this. Wait a little longer in your life.
Okay, so what you're saying is we're going to be the grandparents of bad examples.
Be like, you know what? I did this already. Probably don't try it.
Most grandkids grow up saying, I learned so much from my grandfather or grandmother. Our grandkids are going to grow up and say, I learned so much from my grandfather and grandmother on what not to do.
Listen, granddaddy, big daddy, what is it? What did your listener said? Big daddy or granddaddy bang bang.
Granddaddy bang bang.
Granddaddy bang bang. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have a grandbaby that says, Granddaddy bang bang taught me what not to do.
Do we cuss?
I mean, I don't think that I have a filter that I will not be able to. I'll try my best.
Okay, let's do this then. Because grandparents don't cuss.
Maybe you don't cuss.
No.
Can you be the filter?
No, if anything, the guy cusses. The woman definitely doesn't cuss.
I have a problem with that.
You do. So
I know.
Let's set some rules to this.
Oh, I'm so bad with rules.
Let's do a do's and don'ts list as grandparents.
Okay.
So when we become grandparents, as we try to figure out what type of grandparent we will be, what's the one thing we won't do?
I don't know if I want to have these rules. What is the one thing we won't do? Well, you're telling me we can't cuss. I've failed that one already.
Well, no, the kid's not born yet. Unless you know something I don't know.
No. Oh, no. Please, Jesus, no. Well.
Okay, how about this? What do we do?
Well, we dance.
We dance. We're just going to be crazy dancers. I hate
dance.
dancing. I'm not good at dancing, but for some reason, when I become a grandparent, I guess I'm supposed to dance.
You got to learn how to dance.
I got to learn how to dance.
Yeah.
But it's not ballroom dance.
No, it's just fun dance.
We're going to hip hop.
Yeah. Hip Hop Anonymous.
We're going to be the hip hop grandparents. You better get me to some hip hop classes.
I feel like I have some videos of you dancing also.
That's not dancing.
I really think
that's showing emotion through alcohol.
I don't know. Is that what that is?
Yes.
I like your emotion through alcohol. It's kind of fun.
That's the clinical term, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So our grandkids will see emotion through alcohol, that special sacred dance that I do.
Yeah, well, but then they also know that, like, grandma, I don't want to be called grandma, but grandma's Yeti is filled with wine, or Stanley is filled with wine. They just know. Or
that cookie that you brought to the beach this past week that was
so bad.
Filled with God knows what.
I don't know. I was high for like a day and a half.
That cookie was made by Rufinol. I'm telling you.
I roofied myself.
Yeah, you roofied me.
You
roofied me on my birthday.
I did. And then you were like, let's go to the gym. We got to try to work this off. It was not happening.
No, it was tough. Yeah. And it wasn't even a fun roofie where I got to wake up feeling taken advantage of. I don't know, that doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean.
No, you passed out.
You did too.
Done.
Like you just knocked me out. So we got to make sure our grandkids don't take the roofie cookies.
Oh yeah,
it's
those
horrible.
Are good things to know.
You know what's going to happen is we're going to be the grandparents that we're going to be blamed for something god awful happening to our grandkids.
Like what?
Taking a roofie cookie.
No, we cannot be blamed for that because we said do not do this.
The kid's 3.
Well, I mean, just remember, don't do it.
I mean, we've got so many candies around the house that the kids shouldn't take. We're gonna be bad grandparents.
I feel like we need some safes.
I think we need.
How do we lock that up?
I think we need to secretly sterilize Caleb or something. Caleb, don't have kids. You do not want us as grandparents.
He probably does.
It only took us about 20 minutes to figure out that we're not going to be the grandparents we were hoping to be.
Well, I feel like we're the fun grandparents.
Not yet.
The fun?
We're not there yet. But see, here's the problem. Grandparents can be fun grandparents. Like the lady in the lobby at the hotel landing. Yeah. She was a fun grandparent, but I guarantee there were boundaries. Like she's not sharing things like roofie cookies. She's not sharing things.
Well, of course you're not supposed to share a roofie cookie with the baby.
But she's not even talking about it. She probably doesn't even do it. You know, like she just cut it off.
She did not look like she took drugs.
Right, exactly. Well, we don't look like we do. We don't do drugs. I'm just saying it's only on special occasions.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, so, like, I think once you become a grandparent, you have to accept new responsibilities. And you have to not do certain things. Like, I couldn't even fathom that when I left my grandmother's house, she was a different person. You know,
but she probably was.
No, there's no way.
You don't think so?
No, there's no way. I think the same with my mother too. I think she's the same person that she's always been all the time. You know, I mean, I remember when I was, I think 13 years old, and I found out for some reason my mother admitted to it that she at one time smoked weed.
Your mom told you that?
Yeah.
I don't see her saying that.
Right, exactly. And my jaw dropped.
You were at 13?
Yeah, I was 13.
And she told you that?
Yeah, it was like a part of a conversation, and there was like laughs and goofs and stuff. And, it was like, Mom, I bet you did this. And she was like, oh, maybe once or twice or, something like that. I was like,
Joan.
Wow, Mom, But think about this. I mean, she had my brother at a young age. She had my brother at like 18. Mm-hmm. So what does that tell you?
So she was a completely different person, because with her being that young and her learning how to be an adult, let alone a human being with a little mini human being, there are a lot of things that she just did not know and just did.
And people always wonder why that generation got married so young. I'll tell you why that generation got married so young. Is because they actually had ethics and morals. And what I mean by that is that, my mother grew up in a very strict Catholic house, right? So it was, you don't have sex until you get married. Whether that's true with her or not, I have no idea. But for most of these people, in order to save face with the Joe general public and their community,
they'd just get married.
They would just get married, and then they would just sling. They had the green light, they had a pass. They're like, I'm married now at 18. I can sling whenever I want, and it's cool. You know what I mean? That's why they got married so young.
Keep popping out babies. That's reckless.
Well, they think that they're going to be married forever. And they usually were at that time because it was a sin to get a divorce. And it was an embarrassment to get a divorce.
And it was normal to have like 9 billion kids.
And that's why guys got away with so much shit back in the day. You hear horrible stories. They could be abusive. They could say this. They could do this. And they could cheat. And they could do all this. The woman wasn't going anywhere because she had no skill to go get a job.
Yeah.
Because they kept, it was you're a house mom. That's what you did. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in the relationship, you're screwed afterwards. It was a really shitty spot for women to be in at that time.
I agree.
If you think about it, you know what I mean? Like there was zero independence. And then when you could be independent, you couldn't be independent. Then you were way behind the 8 ball. And then what do? You want to find somebody to spend the rest of your life with. Money becomes a factor. And then you got baggage with a kid, 2, 3, 4 kids, and you're stuck with some guy that's got money. But I'm literally telling you my life story now. You're stuck with a guy that's got money, and there's no love in the house. And it sucks. So I feel bad, for that generation of women that had to go through that. It really sucks. I'm not saying everybody did, but at least mine did.
This is my life.
This is my life in 4 minutes. I'll get you my life in 4 minutes.
Don't worry about it.
I think we'll be good grandparents.
I agree with you. I think we're preparing ourselves ahead of time.
Right.
Well, right?
Yeah. I'm worried about when we have to step in with rules of life.
Oh, so I don't think that's going to be a problem because our kids know, our nephews know. You don't come into Aunt Rachel's house and do that shit.
Yeah.
I don't put up with it. I mean, Dominic likes to come here because his little brother can push buttons and get away with all kinds of everything, but not in Aunt Rachel's house. We don't play that business.
Yeah, but the first time it's one thing to do that as an aunt or even an uncle.
Oh, I know.
But the first time you do that as a grandparent, then the kid's like, oh, grandma's mean.
I'm going to break. Oh.
Grandparents are supposed to let you get away with everything.
And they do. You know how mom is with the kids.
Mm-hmm. They buy you whatever they can afford to buy you. And that was one of the best things with my grandmother is, going, like I would say, hey, Graham, can I come over Friday night? Stay at your house Friday night.
Yeah.
And I go stay at her apartment,
I
Friday
love
night.
that you did that with her all the time.
All the time. And, I would go and she had one television, this little box TV, you change it between UHF and whatnot. It had like 4 channels on it. And it was black and white. And sit there and, watch TV. We'd play a lot of checkers. We'd play a lot of tic-tac-toe. Dancy Bear would come with me all the time.
I love Dancy Bear.
Which was my go-to bear.
I think we have him in the box in the garage.
We have a Dancy Bear remake. I don't know what happened to the original Dancy Bear.
.2.
Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to the original Dancy Bear. And it was, Graham would make a tuna fish sandwich or, a salad. She didn't have much in the refrigerator. Always had iced tea, which was the best iced tea ever. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that was really ever in her freezer were ice cubes and old bills. She put her bills in her freezer.
Why did she put her bills in the freezer?
Really?
So then, in case of a house fire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, that makes sense.
Duh. Stupid sometimes.
Okay, just in case of a house fire, put your bills in the ice box.
Right, because the ice beats fire.
Duh. That makes so much sense right now.
I guarantee.
I knew it.
If you're listening right now, please make a comment on somewhere on the social media for the BS. Again, go to thebaileyshow.com, like, share, and follow all the social media for the shows. But please, somewhere start a thread and tell me if and I'll post it also in the Spotify app where we can interact, if your grandmother ever or grandfather ever put their bills in the freezer.
I don't think either one of mine did.
It was a thing. I'm telling you, it was a thing.
My dad's side of the family, grandma and pop, no bills in the freezer. There was always ice cream, but no bills.
Yeah.
At my mom and pop-ups, no, I don't remember bills. I mean, she's a beast on having ice cream available. Ice cream and IBC cream soda.
Oh, IBC.
All the time.
No, Graham had bills, just stacks. Look like stacks of cash.
Oh.
Just loaded up in that freezer.
Okay.
I don't know how she went through.
Save them.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to them. I mean, I'm sure they melted and probably were bad. I don't know. But, I'd go over to Graham's and then I would get excited. So I'd want to go to bed early because the next morning we would go to the mall. And I know that's when she would buy me a toy of my choice. And we would, she didn't drive. So we would have to walk to the bus stop, and depending on where we were going, whether it was the Annapolis Mall or Kitty City in Glen Burnie, Maryland.
Kitty City.
So we were up first thing in the morning. We had to wait for the mall to open. Sometimes she would pack a lunch for us, like a tuna fish sandwich. She made the best tuna fish sandwiches. And we would sit on the bench and we eat our tuna fish sandwiches. Or we would go to Roy Rogers and have chicken or Chick-fil-A or Burger King. That was the best, man. That was the best. And so we'd get to the mall and I got to shop, and she would buy me like a G.I. Joe figure or a wrestling figure or something.
Pick out whatever you wanted.
Whatever I wanted.
Do you know that, I don't know if your brother knows, I don't know if the rest of your family knows, but you were legit Graham's favorite.
Oh, yeah, they know.
Easy. Oh, okay. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, when Oprah married my cousin and they were on TV and Oprah was going down the bridal party line. And I had my second grade classroom, Mrs. Eshelman's class brought in wheeled in the TV.
Wheel it in.
And Graham goes, I just want to say hi to my grandson, Jace. That drew the line in the family.
Sealed the deal.
All the other grandkids were pissed.
Well,
they were furious. And then I remembered when the toy thing, as I got older, started coming in. And my first stepfather, the abusive one, he said to me one day when it was me, my mom, and this dude, we were at Kitty City, and there was a new series of Star Wars figures. It was like the last in the original trilogy.
Oh, and you don't have those anymore?
No.
So cool.
And they came with a silver coin. And my mother, to her credit, is kind of like how I am now. If you see something and it's all there, buy it in bulk.
Okay.
And so
to get all of them.
And if you hit the store at the right time, like when they just got a shipment in, she would buy them all for me.
Oh, wow.
So we loaded up on these things one night. And I remember we're checking out. And I just felt guilty. I don't know. I was like, something was weird that night. I mean, I can remember this like it was yesterday. And this guy, Lloyd, he says to me, he got pissed while we were in line because he had to pay for this stuff. And he's like, aren't you too old for this? You got to grow up at some point. So,
oh, what a ruiner.
So now in my head, I'm thinking that I've reached an age where I can't play with toys. Aww. Not knowing that, decades later, they'd be worth thousands of dollars if I kept them. You dumbass, you're still alive and you're a horrible person.
So he's a ruiner on several levels.
So many levels. So I think it was right after that I went and stayed with Graham, and we were in the Annapolis Mall, and we go to Montgomery Ward's, and she was like, pick out a toy. And I picked out 2 wrestling figures. Now, these are the wrestling figures that were a little bit larger. They were made of kind of like a rubber, for anybody that remembers these wrestling figures.
I don't think I remember those guys.
And I can't remember which ones I got, but I got 2 of them. And as we were walking outside the Annapolis Mall, and I remember exactly where we stopped because it was the same stop that she gave me one of the most valuable lessons in money. It was in the same area when she says, Jace, you got to organize your money. Don't let anybody see how much you got. And, 1's here and 5's here and 10's here. If I even had a 10. And she goes, and always spend your money on 2 things, food and pillows. And I was like, okay. And I learned. And it was that same spot in the Annapolis Mall. And I stopped and I said, Graham, I don't think I need these toys. And she goes, What do you mean? I said, I want them, but I don't need them. I think I'm getting too old for toys. Can we take them back?
Lloyd is a ruiner. He ruined you as a child.
And that was the last toy I bought until I hit my 40s.
And then I turned 40.
and then I started collecting them all again.
Now I buy toys all the time.
Yeah. So, I don't ever like everything that I've learned, good and bad, through people in my life, I don't ever want to be the grandfather that ruins our grandkids' childhood.
Yeah. So you don't want to be Lloyd. Don't be Lloyd.
Don't be a Lloyd.
Don't be a Lloyd.
That's a great shirt, right? Oh, I'm waiting for somebody to post it. Don't be a Lloyd. But I think that's important, as we talk about things to do and not to do, which we never really did a list. But if I were to say the one thing, me personally, that when I become a grandfather, whether I like the kid or not.
You have to like the kid.
I'm just kidding.
You have to. You have no choice.
The one thing that I don't want to do is at any point in time, spoiler alert, his child or her childhood.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
I mean, our kids know that. Yeah. Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Our kids know that if you don't believe in Santa Claus, you don't get shit for Christmas.
Well, not just that, but I'm talking about, enjoy the moment, enjoy the movie, enjoy the playing outside, enjoy the tea party.
For as long as you want to.
As long as you want to.
Please do it with me when you're 18 and ready to leave for college. I still want you to play tea party.
Right, exactly. We see that with our kids, more Ariel. Ariel was the tea party kid, and she dressed up in her little dresses, and
she did princess everything.
She liked reading her books, and the what's the book that I read to her?
The Big Nut Brown Hair, but you called him Big Nut Butt Hut.
Yeah, Big Nut Butt Hut. And go in there and read that to her and stuff like that, and
and the goo goo eyes that she gives you.
Yeah, I mean that's those days are done. They're done. They're not. They're never coming back. And so it's when you become a grandparent. I'm just assuming. I don't know, but when you become a grandparent, you I guess get to fix any mistakes that you might have made with your own kids.
Sure.
And
then just be awesome.
Yeah, and then intensify them, like fix those mistakes like they're on steroids.
Yeah.
And then just give them back to their parents.
Yeah, it's great. So my parents, as you know, have favorites. Everybody knows they have favorites. Caleb is my mom's favorite. Ariel is my dad's favorite. It's just what it is. They all know. And Dad, the sun rises and sets on that child. Well, before her, it was me. Mm. Well, now the little heifer can go in there and be like, Poppy, I want whatever I want, and done. Mm. And I'm like, hey, Dad, yeah, hold on a second. Ariel needs something. Okay.
So let's do this here. Let's make a pact. Okay. When we become grandparents, okay, that we're going to be cool.
Yep. Right. I'm ready to be cool.
We're going to dance.
I love to dance.
Okay. We're not going to spoiler alert anything in this kid's childhood.
We will not be ruiners.
Not ruiners. And when they want to do something, we stop whatever we're doing and do it.
I totally agree.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic idea.
And we're going to be that grandparent.
We like to party.
But also, here's the other thing. Physically, I don't want to be, grandparents traditionally are frail.
Yeah, but we're not, because you only just turned 49 and I just turned 40.
That's the thing. Is like we've got to make sure we stay in decent shape.
Ooh, let's get exercising.
But here's the catch-22 is that you want to stay in good shape for your own health and for your own well-being.
Sure.
But you have an image that you have to live up to as a grandparent.
Yeah.
Where you kind of got to look like, right? Or is that changed?
You got to be a beast of a grandma or grandpa.
I mean, you can't be a hot grandma.
Sure, why not?
Because traditionally grandmothers aren't hot.
Yeah, well, let's change the mold, because I'm not trying to be gross.
Okay. I mean, it's just like, it's weird. I mean, what if, our grandkids, they grow up and then they become teenagers and we're still look pretty good and look pretty decent.
Yeah.
And one of our grandkids' friends are like, damn, I want to bang your grandmother.
So weird.
Isn't that weird?
So weird. What is that movie about the Miss Jones or whatever? The high school kid that felt she was in love with this guy from school and he slept with the mom, but he also slept with the grandmother.
Oh.
And he came into the wedding and it's like, Mrs. Jones or something.
I don't know what movie you're talking about.
Oh, we're going to have to watch it. We're going to watch it. It's a chick flick.
Was the grandmother hot?
They were all beautiful.
Oh.
The grandmother, I think, was Jane Fonda.
Oh, yeah, real hot.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then I don't remember who the mom was, and then the daughter. Well, I'll look it up.
God, that's weird, though. Can you imagine if you were a grandparent that was, still fairly young? 60's the new 40, 40's the new 28, maybe. Whatever.
Right.
So, you're a hot grandma.
Okay.
Even though
I just want to be a pretty grandma.
people know let's say you're in your 60s, but you look like, you look really good, right?
Yeah.
And your grandkids know that you're still sexually active. And people are talking about you. Like you go to the mall with the kid or something, you're at a soccer game or whatever, and somebody's like, man, who's that? Look at the ass on her. And maybe yoga pants are still in style.
Yoga pants will always be in style because they suck it all up.
And it's very difficult for a girl to wear yoga pants and not be hot in yoga pants.
That's true.
It goes iPhone, microwave, yoga pants as far as the greatest inventions, and
Good
wheel and fire. You throw all those in there, greatest inventions of all time.
Yoga pants, good butts.
Good butts. You can see the outline of the front. I mean, everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're having a great time over there right now.
And now they have it so it just wraps up in that ass.
They do. I don't like those.
But if you're a hot grandmother,
I still don't want them in my butt cheeks.
wrap them up in that ass if you're a hot grandmother.
I got yoga pants on right now.
I know.
What do you think? Go check out my butts.
They're great. I like how it wraps up in your ass.
We do not wrap up in this ass.
Wrap up in the ass.
We do not.
One thing I do hope, not that I have anywhere near the stories of a lot of your grandfathers, probably, ones that served, they just, we're having ceremonies for the anniversary of D-Day. And I believe there's only like a handful of people that are left. That's one regret. And it's not my fault. I just didn't know. I mean, my grandmother would tell me stories of when she was a child all the time, but I guess, whether I paid attention or not, I didn't embrace those. Like, I wish somebody would have sat me down and said, Jason, when your grandmother talks, memorize these stories, because those stories are not written down. Those stories are going to live indefinitely through me, and then me passing them down to somebody else. I just hope that our grandkids listen to all my stories.
You have a lot of really fun stories to share. You know what you should do? You should, when the time comes, write a little book about like different stories and things like that. Like someday as they get older and like eventually we're not going to be around, what do they have to go back and look at? Oh, I remember my grandfather told me this story. Probably leave out the fact, Brett Michaels' story, that you were high as I don't know what when you went in to go and talk to him. Maybe leave some bits and pieces out, or not. Go balls to the wall and be like, probably don't do this when you meet Brett Michaels. Yeah,
unfortunately. So you want me to write a book for our grandkids to share my stories with them?
Your stories, yeah, because you have fun stories.
Yeah, but
they're more fun when you tell them in person, but once you get past that place where, like, to prepare for eventually someday, they'll want to have that book of your stories.
Okay. So just to make this clear, you want me to write a book to share with our grandkids stories of my life. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think I'm changing. I don't know with your look right now. I say yes.
I unfortunately don't have those hero stories like the grandfathers that served, that were there at D-Day. D-Day for me is drunk day. I can tell the story of how I vomited one night so violently that it actually pushed me off of this pole and back into the woods. And
oh my God, maybe
the sprinkler
not that
woke me
one.
up the next morning.
You probably need to wait till they're adults to tell them those things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is I got to find child-friendly stories.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll revisit this.
I can't omit the stuff because that's the punch. You know what I mean?
This is why this happened.
Right. Exactly. I was in the cop car because of.
To preface this.
I don't have the traditional grandfather. I was storming the beaches of Normandy and my buddy, oh my God, please tell me more. You are a hero. This is a story that no one else can share. And I'm over here, dumbass grandpa, going, just one night downtown, I was so drunk, man, I couldn't find my car. And I didn't want to drive anyway, so I ended up sleeping in the bushes.
You can also tell stories of being Captain Underpants on stage.
Captain Underpants
on stage.
Captain Underpants on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You got fun stories. They're just different.
Mm-hmm. All right, but we're going to be good grandparents.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
I like to think so as well.
I just want to dance.
We're going to be dancey grandpantsies.
Yes, I want to be dancey grandpantsies.
We don't dance, people. Okay, we never dance. Okay.
I'm about to get it.
Yeah, we're going to start dance parties.
Yeah, I like to start dance parties. Those guys over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
God, I'm just going to be so scared everywhere we go. Everything I say, everything I do.
They're going to think you're awesome.
I don't know. I can't continue to do this. I'm going to have to hang up the headphones.
What?
Because, I'm having problems right now doing certain things with the podcast because of the content. Nobody's into real life stuff anymore. They want.
You want to pretend?
I guess I'm going to have to phony baloney the situation.
We can pretend.
I'm going to have to phony baloney it. All right. Well, it's not happening yet. But when it does, the only reason we're having this conversation is because, and whoever you are, ma'am, wherever you live, you were a very cool grandparent, and we noticed it from across the room.
You were awesome, and I want to be you someday.
Correct. Yeah. That's you being as awesome as you are and were that night made this podcast.
Oh, for sure. The way that little girl's face lit up.
Yeah.
Done.
It was cool.
It was.
Just really cool. And
it was really cool to see.
And you could even tell at certain times, like the grandmother, if given a choice, she didn't want to get up. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, just let me enjoy my wine or whatever, my food or something like that. And the kid kept dragging her out. And every time she put on the happy face, the kid doesn't know any different, and she did it every time because that's what the
She did.
And that was cool. Like, that was just cool. Again, the traditional grandma, I don't do that. Stop that. That kind of thing. So We're going to be this new age grandparent, whatever that is. That's what you and I are going to be.
What is that, Generation Z? What is the new generation?
I don't know where they're at now. They've run out.
So many letters.
For some reason, generation started the last 3 letters of the alphabet. I have no idea why. It's like the goofiest thing. Like Gen X, me, like they're, then it goes there's X, Y, there's Gen Y, and then Gen Z. But there was no.
And then what happened?
There was no Gen A or Gen A. Gen A.
Lieutenant Dan.
What do Generation A's do? They run.
That was a good one. You're going to have the best dad jokes.
And then you got Gen B. And then people are going to think that this is some girl with different last names.
Or she's got a disease.
Gen C, Gen D, Gen E, Gen A. It's like Gen A. Depends on what part of the country you live. Gen F.
Gen F. She had problems.
Yeah, she got a lot of problems. Gen G. That sounds like a pop star.
Yeah. It could be a pop star. It's next.
But they started at Gen X, and I don't.
Yeah, that's odd.
And then they just start making up names. It's very, very weird. All right, we're going to be cool grandparents. Any and all suggestions on the social media for the BS, which you hopefully like, share, and follow. Everything is on thebaileyshow.com, including how you can subscribe. And I'll get into this more this week on the BS podcast, but we are reaching a milestone as far as subscribers for the podcast. So hopefully you guys, if you're not a subscriber yet, a little push to subscribe to the podcast will get you there. On Wednesday's Free Bay episode, Tuesday and Thursdays for subs. And if we have a sub extra this week, I don't know. Hopefully it'll push you to subscribe and help the cause, but we are reaching a milestone.
Woo!
The highest number of subscribers that we've ever had. which is awesome. And I can't thank you guys
exciting.
enough. That is so, so cool. Also, sponsors. Always looking for sponsors. Sponsors come, sponsors go. There's no commitment when you are a sponsor of the show. I don't lock you into a contract or anything like that. We would just like you to be a part of the process. So if you own a business or work for a business that's looking to get some advertising out there and you want direct content to ear medium, which is podcasting, which it is, and I can go through the whole spiel with you. I have no problem with getting on the phone with you. Please reach out to me. Again, all on thebaileyshow.com. Subscribe to the newsletter, the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. That has already reached the most subscribers. That's free, by the way. Most subscribers we've ever had on our YouTube channel. So please continue to increase that. Monday and Wednesdays, freebase shows. The full episodes are up on YouTube. Buddy, our videographer, does an amazing job of getting all that done and up there as quick as possible. So if you're a YouTube type of person and you want to watch us and see,
what we're doing.
Seeing what we're doing.
I'm not drinking right now. It's
Not
too
drinking
early.
right now. You got Darth Vader in the back, and of course I have no sleeves on my shirt, and my
Me
wife's
neither.
breasts are big and they're out. So I mean, if that's your thing and you want to watch it, feel free at The Bailey Show on YouTube. All right, you got anything before we get out of here?
Bae, I just want to dance.
You just want to dance. All right. Again, like, share, follow on all the socials at Listen to the BS, but you can get all that information at thebaileyshow.com. Please subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate all the support. We're getting more and more views and plays on this podcast, this episode, Honey, I Raised the Kids, and it has grown so much.
Yay, thanks, y'all.
In the 11 weeks that we've been doing it. I'm glad you're digging this conversation. I really appreciate it. All right, till next time. Bye.
I realize not everyone feels this way, and if you are okay with this stage of your life, honestly, more power to you.
Thanks for listening. Get more information and episodes on thebaileyshow.com.
Honey, I raised the kids.
Subscribe at thebaileyshow.com. Yeah, baby.